The Nintendo Drive is fueled by patrons at patreon.com/YumiCapri, and from the bottom of my heart, I am so grateful to the nearly 70 patrons who support us each and every month, with our special thanks to our Capremium producers, Dallas Ford, Lee Navarro, the fearless leader of the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team, and Jonathan Brown, the man behind the music on this show and the Xbox Drive. You can support Jonathan at youtube.com/PM Entertainment. Our platinum producers, Robbie Bobby Miller and Trucker Sloth. Our gold members, Argo, Benji Kong, Brendan Myers, Dallas Robbins, Dano, Emily O'Kelly, Foolish Fuji, Heather Boney, James Johnson, Joel Brooks, Jose Jimenez, Mac Time, Marcus O'Neill, Mr. and Mrs. Nasty Boots, RJ Kern, Skinny Matt, and Xavier Reyes. If you enjoyed this show and you'd like to support independent content, you can go to patreon.com/YumiCapri and choose the tier that's right for you. Now, on with the show. Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri. I'm in my car and you're listening to the Nintendo Drive. I'm on a Skype call with my friend Console Caito, the spiciest potato, and on our journey today, EA had nothing for us, but we played Skyward Sword in the HD, so jump on into the Nintendo Drive. Ball!
Hi, Sean.
Hi, Caito.
I'm the spicy potato today.
You're the spiciest potato. I told you it's gonna change a little bit. Maybe sometimes you're saucy. Maybe sometimes you're spicy, saucy. Maybe you'll be a sweet potato one of these days.
Oh.
The sweetest potato. We'll see.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever get that from you.
I think you get sweet potato from me.
Yeah.
I feel like I kind of started there, and then you kind of like showed me your ways. I'm like, okay, you got a little bite to you. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would have backed it off.
My true self came out.
Yeah. Or at least your internet persona that, you just want to show me how it is, I guess.
Right. I feel like I haven't talked to you in forever.
I know. Well, 2 extra days, yeah, and because I'm a mess with scheduling and stuff. It's been a little while. How are you? What's new?
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here. Not a lot new. A lot new. I had a sick kid last week, so gaming has been on the back burner a little bit, but we'll get into that.
We'll get into it. All right.
Later, but what's going on with you?
Nothing. I mean, I'm just going to go get a drink right now. I just figured I'd give you a call. Maybe we talk about Nintendo a little bit. Okay. I'm just going to use my work phone to tether an internet connection for the Skype call, and brought my laptop along just to record it just in case.
Just spur of the moment.
Yeah, just totally random.
Never done this before. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, we do need to clean the garage a little bit.
All right. It's dirty.
It is very dirty. We got a lot here. Not really. We have 2 things. But you can now listen to the Nintendo Drive. There is an audio-only version of our podcast over on youtube.com/YumiCapri, where you can find all of the Yumi and Capri podcasts over there. There's video versions of the Xbox Drive, PlayStation Drive, and RPG Cave ?
Yep, video of that one too.
And then audio of We the Gamercast as well. So everything is consolidated on YouTube. I know a lot of people who listen to me, follow me, will be excited about that. A lot of people want to just stick on YouTube, and I totally understand that. So I think people are going to be excited about this.
I am so grateful, first of all, to Ryan Turford, our chief content. I gave him a really cool title, and I don't remember what it is. Producer Ryan is taking care of all of this. He's moved everything over from various YouTube channels so that everything fits on one nice space. So I've already actually had a couple people comment on a few of the videos going like, thank you for putting this all together. Like, and they're going to be discovering different stuff because they're coming in for the Nintendo Drive, and maybe they'll check out the Xbox Drive. We're making that nice and easy for people. So yeah, people can go subscribe to youtube.com/YumiCapri and check it all out.
Yes, and you can leave a comment on the YouTube videos, and we will read those on the show as well.
Yeah.
But speaking of reading things on the show, we do have a podcast review today coming from MusicRJ, who says, the Cadillac of Nintendo podcast.
Nice.
I love the new Nintendo Drive podcast. Sean and Caito are great every week. Glad to see Nintendo get the love in the Drive format. Keep it up, and you can count on me tuning in each week.
Speaking of the Drive format, I'm going to get a drink. Oh, there's a whole recording here. Oh, I don't like, this is not good for the show. Oh, hi there. Can I please get 2 large Diet Cokes and a medium decaf with 2 Splenda? That's everything. Yep. Thank you. Look at that, man. I go to this one for the Xbox Drive and this one, and they don't ask me, what did you say? Or can you speak up? Or They get it. And it's on the screen. They've been good.
They've been pretty consistent.
Mm-hmm. I got to give them compliments.
And they're doing well.
Yeah.
They're doing well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that iTunes review.
Yeah, that's very nice. I hope you didn't want a Diet Coke because Sean never shares with any of us. So
yeah, sorry. I would.
You don't get anything.
And there's actually a few listeners who live in this city, and I need to figure out a time where we can actually go pick somebody up. Yeah, I need to go, like, Tony Baker, I'm coming for you. Marcus O'Neill, here we go, man. Just time.
That would be amazing.
Wouldn't it be awesome?
Literal carpool.
Seriously, it's
just
like
drive through.
they'll have the laptop in their lap instead of sitting, on the seat next to me, or they can sit in between the kids' seats behind me. They got the car seats behind, so you have to sit in the middle, or squeeze into Lincoln's car seat. That might be your best.
How does that work, by the way? The 2-car seat thing.
Well, I
just can't imagine.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And I'm not the tallest person in the world. So actually, I don't understand how people who really are quite tall do vehicles with a kid seat in the back. Because it's like, you got to push up your seat quite a far way. So it's no good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and already,
thank you,
I'm not tall either. But Aiden can kick the back of my seat.
Oh, that's no good.
I'm just like, what are you doing back there?
Yeah.
Like, don't make me turn your car seat back around because I will do it. I'll do it.
Put them in the trunk.
Seriously. Man, those car seats, I can't imagine. And they're so hard to get in and out. I don't know how people do that either.
Well, and now, back when we were younger, I don't think that we were in car seats all that long. I think it was he's like, oh, you're 3 now? Okay. Into the real seat. Yeah, come ride shotgun with mom. Who cares? You up. Yeah, you're just lucky you have seat belts.
Yeah.
So
right, because my mom will tell me, she's like, we didn't even have seat belts.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Things have come a long, long way. And
now we record podcasts in cars.
Now we do our podcast here. Let's jump into the playlist. Like I said earlier, games have kind of been on the back burner for me. Obviously, I've been playing Animal Crossing because I am still me. So there's always there's always time for Animal Crossing, no matter what. I started a 3rd island.
I saw that. Yes. And are you are you getting better at it's almost like I remember playing StarCraft back in the day, and you'd have a build order, you'd want to get really fast, up and running really fast. Are you faster at starting islands now? Are you doing things totally different where it's still a challenge and you're not really sure where you're going to go? How do you do that?
I would say on a normal basis, yes. However, this island is not going to be design focused. So if I were creating an island to design it, I can get that up and running within 6 hours probably. I can have it, to the point where I'm terraforming and doing all that stuff. But this one, I am playing in real time, no time traveling, no treasure islands, none of that stuff. I'm going to
You're playing for real
the bugs
finally.
And the fish and all that stuff. We're going back to the start, doing all the stuff. So with this one, I'm not trying to rush through and get to a certain point. I'm just playing it.
Well, I'm sure once you do it at speed like that, you've probably seen pretty much everything there is to see. So now you can play it for real.
Right.
Very nice.
That's what. Obviously, I still have my other 2 islands, which I will still be designing on. And then I'm also going to be playing, not Nintendo related, Sims 4 Cottage Living, which just came out today. That's going on too. But what have you been playing?
Well, I was going to say, you could probably have people, you could pay people to tend to your islands. You could have gardeners and stuff, making sure that you don't get totally overwhelmed by weeds and whatever. I saw one of your islands, and I don't know if this is on purpose, but those weeds were out of control.
It was on purpose.
Okay. I guess. Okay.
It's an aesthetic.
I'm channeling Bobby yelling at you with the weeds. And what are you thinking?
Yeah, he would not approve.
But he also didn't approve on time travel, and he came around on that. So who knows? Miss that guy. I have been playing Skyward Sword HD, The Legend of Zelda, and Caito, I'm playing with my kids. and it is like a new experience for me. It is so awesome. They are actually my like in person, my real life Twitch chat, because they're asking me like for me to play the Zelda game again. And Lincoln was holding like a pool noodle, like those foamy things. They're making some crafts at home right now. And just before I came to record this, he was holding it up and he was kind of like spinning it around so that I would get dizzy, like one of the puzzles in one of the dungeons. There's a little eyeball and you spin your sword around with the motion controls and you make it dizzy, and that's how you walk through the door. And Lincoln and both Lincoln and Ellie, Lincoln's 4 and Ellie is 2, and they just are loving this, and I'm having a great time with it. And I got to eat a little crow on it too, because I've definitely been pretty loud about the fact that I don't love this game, and it's got some major issues. And part of it is that I haven't played the entire game yet. I think I'm about 10 hours in. I finished 2 dungeons, and so I'm still in like the I like Zelda stage. I feel like if I continue to play through the whole whatever it's going to take me 50 to 70 hours or something like that, then I kind of get back to it's kind of repetitive and all that stuff. But right now, I'm like really liking it. I don't know. Did you pick it up?
I didn't. And
we still got Monster Hunter stories too.
I still need to get more into Monster Hunter, and I just knew I wasn't going to have time. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, I don't remember if we talked about this or if I was just in a Twitch chat talking about this. I don't remember where I was, but I feel like if I don't buy it now, I'm going to miss out.
Right.
On all the hype of it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm kind of content to just let myself miss out on the hype of it.
Right.
Just because I don't have time to play it. I've also been seeing, despite your very positive review here, I've been seeing a lot of negative.
Well, I haven't gotten into all of it, but you're right. There is a lot of, I mean, it's a mixed bag, honestly, is the way to take Skyward Sword, which explains my original kind of take on it before it even got released. Is there, like, the game itself has got issues, but I'm loving just playing a Zelda game. Like it's got that magic of it as well. And I've gotten back and forth with my frustrations with the controls. They've done a decent job of removing the requirement for motion controls, and they've translated it to like the thumbstick flicks, and you're still having to use your sword in particular directions, and that causes its own either issues or opportunities. And when I first started the game, I'm like, oh, I do not like this at all. Like I really was, I was really frustrated with it. But as I've gotten a little bit more used to it, it's becoming a little bit more second nature. But it wasn't nearly as natural than compared to really any other game. It's not as simple as you press A to swing your sword. Like you're still having to flick it in the right direction. And I say the word flick on purpose because that's really what you have to do. I was mostly like really moving the joystick or the thumbstick from side to side, and it just seemed to take a long time. I was like, how am I supposed to be responsive in this? But you really just kind of flick it up or down or left or right or whatever it is, and that seems to be working out for me a little bit. But because that right stick is dedicated to your sword, you can't use it for the camera.
I've heard the camera is bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to hold down another button to move the camera at the same time.
You hold L.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It feels like that's 3D Zelda in a nutshell. It always feels a little bit cumbersome. Like you can't jump on your own. You kind of have to like run up to an edge and then hope that you're kind of pointed in the right direction. Like you have to. I don't know, like that's always how I felt with 3D Zelda, and it's why I feel like I like 2D Zelda more. But yeah, this one is, the controls are definitely one thing, and definitely the most interesting part about Skyward Sword are the dungeons. Anytime I'm not in a dungeon or not on the surface, you kind of finish a dungeon, you kind of fly back up into the sky and go visit your friends back home, and it's like, there's a reason why the story of this is that the adventure is on the surface. Like there's not really a whole lot of awesome stuff happening up in the sky, which was, again, my original take on the game as well. I just want to be back in dungeons, really.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the controls, we do have a comment from a listener here. Chris at Visczen on Twitter said, currently in a passionate love-hate relationship with Skyward Sword. Love because I hadn't played it due to the motion controls and I can finally play through it. Hate because even though the thumbstick is much more comfortable than using motion, it still has a jank to it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm the same. Like love, hate. I'm starting to get a little bit more used to it, like I said. And there's actually one of the things that really kind of struck me is the first boss battle that you have is ridiculous. It's actually terrible, and it's not it's not
terribly
a good way
hard.
It seems unfair. Really, is kind of the thing. You're supposed to strike the guy in a particular way, but it doesn't really. It didn't seem clear to me like what direction I was supposed to be swinging at him. He kind of just like holds up his hand and will grab your sword if you're going the wrong way. And to be honest with you, I still can't explain what I did right to to end up beating him. But it just seemed like everything else seems very clear. You know, the enemies will hold up their swords in various directions. So you like they'll hold them up over their head, so you'll realize you have to hit them on the side or in the crotch.
Yeah.
You'll give them a nice like belly button poke with your sword.
Well, speaking of that, that's why I don't know if I can ever play a Zelda game on stream.
Yeah.
Because I am so bad at figuring things out.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I would just be running around not knowing what to do and people just screaming at me in the chat like, you should be doing this or you should be doing that.
Yeah.
So I just don't know.
Yeah, streaming it would be tricky.
Ever stream it. I mean, especially this one. It would be so challenging to stream.
I will say the 60 frames per second is awesome. Like it's a huge difference from what I remember on the Wii. Like it's overall a pretty good experience. It's funny though when you start to compare it to other remasters, and I don't know if it really holds up that well compared to others, but it's clean. Like I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of like really harsh complaints about it. My only thing now is that I've got this game, which I think is somewhere. I think it took me 70 hours to beat the first time, but I'm kind of a dum-dum with that sort of thing. Speaking of not being able to figure things out.
Right.
Or, but I also have like Monster Hunter, which has got to be like a gigantic game as well. There's things in this game still that like, there's a key that I got to like put together in one area, and it's like there's 5 pieces of this key, and they're just kind of like randomly like strung about. You got to dig them up or find them behind a blown up wall or something like that. And it's like you use this feature called dowsing. Do you remember this at all from your playthrough before?
I don't.
You kind of like wave a wand around, and then you can. It's like a tracker kind of thing, and it'll if you're pointing in the right direction, it'll kind of go like it's over here. It'll beep louder at you, and as you get closer and closer, it's louder, and that sucks. I hate it so much. I would much rather. It's like a game of like hide and seek, and you got to find these 5 pieces, and really the puzzle of it is just trying to navigate around the map in some cases. And that I don't know. For me, it's not really the best of Zelda. But definitely the story, the music, I love the art style. I think looks really great. The 60 frames per second is really nice, and I'm playing with my kids. So how can I complain about that? So things are.
Have you been using your Amiibo?
I haven't taken it out of the case, actually. I don't even know.
You're not going to.
Well, there's so much hubble, like there's so much like just noise about it. I don't even know what it's really supposed to do. And if I really need that, it seems like I can leave a dungeon or something. I don't know. I don't look to Amiibo to do anything.
Traveling.
Yeah, I've never really looked to the Amiibo for any sort of like in-game functionality. I look at them just as a collectible. So it sits on my shelf, and I like it, and it's pretty, and I feel very lucky that I got one. So
it is very pretty.
Yeah,
it's very pretty.
Somebody had a great like side by side. Like look how far we've come, and they showed the first Link Amiibo from like the Smash Brothers one with the P stand, and then there's this one. It's like they've gotten a little bit better at these.
Oh, I need to look at that. I bet that's cool. Okay, we do have some breaking news today.
Oh, okay.
Pokemon Unite launched this week and is a free-to-play MOBA, which I had never seen this. So I had to look up this acronym. I have never seen this acronym before. Multiplayer Online Battle Arena.
I bet most people don't know what MOBA stands for.
For anyone who doesn't know what a MOBA is, there you go. You learned something today. Most of them I can get, like FPS, MMO, blah, blah, blah. But I was just like sitting here staring at this. What is a MOBA? So you can play 5-on-5 team battles. They also, with this, they released the first season, which is Welcome to Eos Island. I honestly know nothing about this game. I've seen people in Discord pretty hyped about it.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Are you going to
Well, what did we just talk about? It's free, so
we have no time for anything.
I downloaded it because it is free, and because especially Joel Falcon in the Discord is really hyped about it.
It up.
Mm-hmm. Tony Baker as well. Yeah, a few people definitely in the Discord really excited about this, and I have said this is the year that I'm getting into Pokemon. This was not on my radar at all, to be honest with you. So it's kind of why I wanted to make sure that we touch on it today, just in case anybody it wasn't on their radar, they want to know about it. How the hell am I supposed to play this too? You know,
I know.
So there is so much, but I did download it. All I can tell you right now is that the intro video is amazing, and I really like it. It seems simple enough to really understand. I think MOBAs in general, like MOBAs are games like League of Legends and things like that, which are very intense, like really scary to really get into. But I feel like there's maybe an accessibility here with Pokemon that maybe I could get into and have some fun with friends. There's battle passes and stuff to get into as well. So I want to check it out so at least I can play it. But I make no commitment to games like this. You know, like
what style of combat is it?
It's sort of like it's like a top down. It's in real time, but you're kind of like you're looking at like a top-down or isometric kind of view, and really you're battling other people, but there's also an element where you're supposed to like score points at other ends of the map. So you want to kind of clear a nice path, and it's almost like basically like basketball, kind of. I think is kind of how it goes. So it's like a battle and also scoring points at the other side of it. So there's a lot of like teamwork and collaboration that you want to go like, okay, we'll go down this path, or you take care of this side and I'll take care of this guy, and then somebody else will sneak around and score the point. So that's my very basic understanding of MOBAs. That's clearly I haven't played a whole heck of a lot of them, but maybe this is my first MOBA, baby's first MOBA.
Maybe
Pokemon.
It can be my first MOBA too. I don't know.
We'll have our one night with it, just like all these other games we've tried out.
Speaking of all these other games we tried out, Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin has shipped over 1 million units worldwide, which exceeds the original Monster Hunter Stories on the 3DS, but it does fall short of the 4 million copies of Monster Hunter Rise, which I never played Monster Hunter Rise, but that's the one that I feel like people talk the most about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. Because I think it's like, I don't know if tactics games kind of scare people off, or maybe it's just because this is quite different than what maybe most people are used to, or when they think about Monster Hunter. But for me, like, this is the one to get me into it. I'm really liking it, and I am always really encouraged when I hear stories like this, that a game that people seem to like is actually selling well. Like, I don't know, it doesn't always turn out that way. So 1 million copies is pretty decent, but 4 million I think was, like you said, in Rise within a week.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Also, Nintendo expanded its Switch Online SNES service with 3 more titles, and I've been reading about this on Twitter. Claymates, Jelly Boy, and Bomboozle are the 3 games that they added. What is going on?
Just stop. Just cancel it. And honestly, on the Xbox Drive, we kind of stopped doing the whole like games with gold that are coming out. Like, I think we might be getting to that point, if not well past that point on this show. I only put it in the show notes really to poke fun at it.
To make fun of it, yeah.
I don't know anybody, and please leave a comment on the YouTube video if anybody is like stoked about these games. What in the world? It's like if there's like a monthly reminder for people to like cancel their subscription, which I actually saw a couple of people going like, "Yep, now's the time. I'm done with this one." It's so outrageous. It's just so ridiculous. Nobody wants these games.
Why are they not doing N64 games?
Or even better of these, I don't know. You're right. They're like expanded a little bit. Especially with like the Metroid stuff that's going on. I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but it does seem like more and more people are like just wanting to play old Metroid games, and there really isn't a way to do this, and that's kind of frustrating for a lot of people. I feel like Todd Oxher brought that up a couple of weeks ago, and it is. It's like people want to be able to give you money, and they're having to like hack a 3DS or like bust out one of the 10 million Wii U's that was ever sold, and good luck doing that these days. Yeah. And even that, like they're shutting those stores down or stop taking credit or something like that on those stores. So it's just becoming harder and harder for people to enjoy like the history of games. And the trade-off there is that Nintendo and PlayStation does this as well, is they'll happily sell you remastered games. Like I just bought for Zelda. I just paid full price for a Zelda game. Like I'm part of the problem, as we've discussed many times. But yeah, it's like this. There's these 3 games that nobody cares about, and clearly people want to spend money or at least maybe even have access to games that really matter. These games don't matter, and it's just they're checking a box at this point, and really just goes to show that doesn't matter. They're still like selling like crazy. I think they were the number 1 units sold in the June NPD. So like people are still buying the stuff. They're still subscribing. They're still spending money on Nintendo. So who cares? You know, they don't really have to do anything. And I think this is sort of a sign of that.
But here's the thing, and I feel like we talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago, something like that. And then I said they don't want to put N64 and GameCube titles on a virtual console because, like you said, they want to remaster it. But honestly, I feel like they could double dip here. I feel like people would buy the old original game, and then even if they did a remaster, we would still buy it.
I totally agree. Yeah, you're right.
So I don't think that impacts it.
Well, and even Game Boy, or like that's the other direction that they could go. And I kind of expected them to do that with. Remember when they did like the classic, like their mini consoles? I really expected a little like handheld kind of thing.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
With like holy crap, that would be. And what I originally thought they were going to do with like the NES one when they first announced that was I thought that was going to connect to the internet, and that would be the virtual console. Like where it starts with like it gives you 30 games to start, and then maybe later on you could add on to it by purchasing more games. Like if we ran Nintendo, like that's what we would do. Definitely. And that the Switch is a handheld. Like the fact that we don't have, those old games, the Game Boy games or Game Boy Advance or whatever, that would be absolutely amazing. And we had that on we had it on a Wii U, for God's sakes. So it's just another reminder of the things that we don't have when they give us crap like this. Don't like it, Nintendo.
Very interesting that they don't do it. I don't know. No. Who knows? But they are going to give Switch owners the chance to check out 2 Point Hospital in its entirety for free next week. They have Among Us right now as a free game trial, but you'll be able to play 2 Point Hospital for free next week, which is, I already own 2 Point Hospital, but...
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
Do you like it? It seemed like a Caito game. That's actually why I wanted to talk to you about it, because it seemed like a Caito game. I didn't realize you'd played it before.
I have. I really like it. It definitely is a Caito game. It's a little finicky control-wise on the Switch, I feel like, but I really enjoyed it. I by no means finished it because I am me. So
yeah, we don't finish games.
we don't finish stuff. We just pay for stuff, play it for 2 days, and then put it away.
I was looking at my Switch the other day, and it's like I've got Pokemon Snap, I've now got Mario Golf, Monster Hunter, and Zelda. Like these are games. What was that, 4 games? It's like $300 in games that I bought. That I don't know how many. I'm batting 0% so far of beating any of those games, and I've actively abandoned Mario Golf. Unless if Jason Lacey, if you're listening, or if really anybody, but Jason Lacey on his podcast, Flex Suppose, was talking about this and was just so sad that we were all hyped about it. We all bought it, and now everybody talks on their podcast about how much they hate Mario Golf, which I feel like speaks directly to me. So sorry about that. But if anybody does want to play, I do. The multiplayer is good. I have mostly shat upon the single player stuff, and that's really soiled my experience with it. But I would like to play with friends. That does sound like a good time. And I want to get my $80 worth, for God's sake. So if that's a thing.
We should do, like, even though you're not streaming right now, we should do like game nights or something.
We really should. Yeah.
Over the Discord. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Maybe we could play our MOBA.
And honestly, and that's what I really miss about streaming as I take this break. But Caito, like I'm down like more than 10 pounds in 2 weeks.
I saw on Twitter.
I'm
so proud
feeling
of you.
great. Yeah, I'm actually being active right now. So I'm in a tough spot. It's summer, and Nintendo is giving us all these games. Like I'm playing more Switch than Xbox these days, and that has been a theme for me over the last actually probably about 2 months. Which is kind of nice.
I know I've said this before, but this is just so funny that we're struggling to keep up with everything after. I feel like we weren't feeling that positive
E3.
after E3.
I know.
And now we're here like, What are we going to do? We can't play all the games.
That makes us
Especially
a true
me.
Nintendo fan.
I was like, I don't care about any of this stuff.
That's how you know you're a true Nintendo fan. You bitch and you complain, and then you buy everything and play and try to struggle to keep up. Like, we made it. This is a special tier of fandom that we're in.
Speaking of, I don't think we've talked since I pre-ordered the OLED.
I think you pre-ordered the OLED, but you also got the Steam Deck too. Like, you are loading up on your handhelds. Holy.
Okay, well, but to be fair on both fronts, for anyone who's going to come for me, yes, I already have 3 Switches and a Switch Lite. I know. But I'm going to trade in one of my Switches for the OLED. So that we've talked about that. I already have my plan. I'm going to move all my stuff to my Switch Lite, trade it in, bring it back, move all the stuff from the Switch Lite to the OLED. I already have it all planned out in my head. The Steam Deck, it was a $5 reserve, which I honestly don't even think that the people, like, I reserved it technically, but I think it's going to go out in waves. So who knows when I'll actually be able to order it. Yeah. Or get one. I have no idea. And if you don't end up getting it, it just goes into your Steam account, which at that point I can just buy a game or something. So I felt like I might as well just pay the $5. If it had been $50, I probably still would have done it, but yeah. Let's be real here. Okay, we don't have the Steam Deck stuff here on our notes, but we should talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
it looks like a Switch. Actually, it looks like a Game Gear. It looks like a Game Gear.
And gigantic. I don't know if you know my love for Game Gear.
I don't think I did, actually.
I loved my Game Gear. All 8 AA batteries and all.
All 40 pounds of it.
Seriously loved it. So I love the fact that it looks like a Game Gear. Everyone can call it ugly and bulky and weird button layouts and all that stuff. And I don't care because I love it. And also just the thought of me being able to play The Sims, Stardew Valley with mods, and Halo on this thing, like, that's enough for me. I don't need anything else at that point. If I can play everything I want to play, because honestly, just sitting here, like, if we go back to doing Halo nights, I could just sit here and play Halo on my Steam Deck and be good to go. And playing, oh my gosh, just playing any of the Xbox Game Pass stuff, if that works how everyone's anticipating it will work, it would be amazing. It is going to be, and even that Halo bit is like, that's a free game. Like, the multiplayer is going to be free, like, regardless if you have Game Pass or anything. Yeah, like, that's, and man, like, there are so many great indies, and even the fact that you can have, like, Stardew Valley is on Switch, but not with mods, right? So that's a particular audience as well. It's funny the conversation of whether or not, like, is this a Switch killer? I don't think that I'm quite there. I think Switch and this will probably coexist quite nicely, just as Nintendo and PC gaming has always kind of coexisted really nicely. But I was saying on the Xbox Drive, like, I just hope that this is successful, as much as I'm absolutely not putting money down, and I'll wait for version 2. But I hope that this is a thing. You know, it's sort of like when Microsoft did the Surface. I'm like, I always wanted an alternative to the iPad, just to make that kind of product category a little bit more interesting. So I'm glad you got one, or at least got a reservation on one. I'm really interested to see how this all works out. So maybe it'll push Nintendo maybe a little bit, just to try to compete and make it a little bit better. Yeah. That's what I was going to say. I definitely don't think it's a Switch killer by any means. I think it's a totally different market. I don't think most people who own a Switch are going to go out and pay $400, $500 on a Steam Deck. But I do think it proves that you can have that sort of power in a handheld. Definitely does. Whereas Nintendo's kind of hiding behind this, oh, well, we can't do this because it's a handheld. Kind of, you know, I'm really curious about the size. Well, like the power comes at the trade-off of, like, it is definitely a little bit larger. Like, there's definitely pieces about it. And I've already told you, I don't even want the OLED Switch, because the benefit of the OLED is the screen, which you see when you're playing in handheld mode. I'm like, I've already converted to the Switch Lite being my handheld
device. Like that's the size that I'm kind of like looking for. So when I hold a Switch, it feels big in my hands, and this is even bigger than that. So I think I'll probably be sticking to that. But yeah, it's so interesting. And I feel like I'm the odd man out on this, Caito, actually. Like I think more people are into handheld gaming at home than I am. I think that's probably a big piece of this.
Yeah. Oh, unless I'm filming or streaming, I'm 100% always playing in handheld. Wow. Yeah. So this is like a dream for me because I don't have to go on a computer, do this or do that. If Nintendo would just cloud saves so I can play on, I would love to be able to play on my Switch Lite. Yep. But I can't. I can, but I like to have all of my games capable for me to record or stream or whatever I'm going to do. So I want them to be on one of my full-size Switches because I can't stream or do anything from my Lite. Yeah. So why can I not just pick up and play my Switch Lite with the stuff that is very frustrating? That would have been pretty good for them to do, and I think this is something. It would have been good. There is so much flexibility to this thing. Like every time I talk to somebody else, like they're like really excited about something different about the Steam Deck, which I think is really interesting. Like there's so many different ways that you can tackle this thing. So many different, even the fact that you can plug it into a dock is really interesting. Even though it doesn't come with one, that the fact that that's a possibility is. It just feels like it's shooting across the bow maybe a little bit at Nintendo. But yeah, there's people who are into Xbox who are going to be into this because it satisfies something for them, like people who are playing PC. Even for people who haven't gotten into PC gaming before, like this could be like the easiest way for you to get into it because it is somewhat of a closed kind of system. Like it, and Steam sales are crazy. I feel like even if you have never played a PC game before, you probably already have 75 Steam games somehow. Right. It's just by accident. It's just the way it goes. They just pop up on your computer.
Yeah, they're not $80 remasters, Yes.
Okay, let's invite some friends in the car. We do have some questions this week, and we have quite a few Zelda-themed questions. So I'm going to preface this by saying Breath of the Wild is fresh in my memory, and I have the memory of a goldfish. So if all of my answers come from Breath of the Wild,
nice.
That is why. Okay.
Okay, fair.
So I don't know if this is Hobby or Hobie1K. Hobie1K. On Twitter. What is your favorite item and or mechanic in a Zelda game? Ooh. And I'm going to be lame and go with the gliding.
Oh, yeah, that is lame. Yeah, that sucks.
That's not... It's so fun, though.
It is actually amazing when... I'll never forget one of the first times I jumped off in Breath of the Wild, and I just happened to find, what are they called? Lionel? Like the giant,
oh, gosh, yes.
Oh, my God. Like, that was one of the first things that I found.
Like, I bet that went well.
How did I end up over here? And he just, stomped all over me. That is. I shouldn't make fun of it. It is actually a pretty sweet mechanic. But compared to the hook shot, there's nothing better. That is the absolute greatest and most satisfying thing, almost in any game, really, but definitely within the Zelda universe. Like the hook shot is just so, it's just ka-chunk, and then it like pulls you forward, and it's so great. I cannot wait. I'm starting to see those. I'm in the point in Skyward Sword where those targets are starting to pop up everywhere. I'm like, I cannot wait to get this thing. It's either a hook shot or a claw shot. They kind of go back and forth. Oh, it's so good. And you can pull like all the items around, like you grab out your hearts or your rupees or the targets itself. It's so good. I love that. And you can use it to like knock enemies kind of senseless, and then you beat the crap out of them. I love that very much. And I want to give a special shout out to, like, I don't know, what were the two things he was asking about? Like, or they were asking about, it was mechanic or what was it?
Item.
Oh, so that's my item. The mechanic is the paint mechanic in A Link Between Worlds, where you become a painting and then you kind of like crawl across the wall and stuff.
That's a good one. I never played that one. I want to.
That's my favorite one. That is my favorite Zelda game. I know that probably is a wrong answer for anybody who's into Breath of the Wild or A Link Between or A Link to the Past, but that's the one
3DS?
for me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I need to go back and play that.
That's the 3DS I have. Like that, I have that limited edition one. It's gold on the top and black on the bottom, and the reflecting Triforces. It's so good. I love that game very much.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and play that. That does sound good. Mm-hmm. And then Rebecca at Forest Minish asked, which Princess Zelda is the best Princess Zelda?
Ooh.
I don't feel like I have a good answer for this one, being honest.
I think, well, no matter what we say, people are going to be upset. I think Rebecca's going to have her.
Everyone want Twilight Princess? Is that what everyone wants us to say?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's what I mean. Like, I don't think everybody has one answer. Like, every individual person is going to have their own individual one. So when I say that I think Skyward Sword is best Zelda, I'm just going to hold down on that. Like, I've always felt that way. I feel that way right now. And you can fight me on it. I think that's absolutely
like I don't have
Zelda.
any affinity towards one Zelda more than any other Zelda.
Sometimes there's like a surprise, like, oh, by the way, that's Zelda. And it's like sometimes people really enjoy that in some of the games. But yeah, I like this Zelda quite a lot. She's very, I don't know, in Skyward Sword, I really like her. Some people really like Breath of the Wild. And I don't know, I wish we saw more of her, to be honest with you. We just kind of got the memories and stuff. And I would like to see a little bit more. It seemed like there was a real chance for that to be my favorite Zelda, but it's definitely Skyward Sword.
I did like her cutscenes though.
Yeah, pretty good.
Okay. Dan at Dan012 asked, do you think Mario could use another main villain beside Bowser? My answer is no.
Put Birdo at the top. Put Birdo in charge.
Birdo?
Yeah, Birdo from Mario 2. He spits out they spit out the egg. Yeah.
No,
totally joking.
we don't need anyone else.
No.
Bowser's good.
No, what about Donkey? Put Donkey Kong back up at the top. Literally. He could fight against Donkey Kong as well. Though. I know they kind of broke things a little bit, but they used to be enemies a little bit. That could be interesting.
That could be interesting.
Like a little Bizarro World kind of thing, but actually it's just back in the 80s.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they have a disagreement.
I would like that, actually.
Yeah, do it. Instead of maybe Donkey Kong or Mario plus Donkey Kong or whatever it was. Yeah. Versus.
Mario versus. Yeah. Ooh. Okay.
There's certain words that like especially in the 64 days, there were words that you didn't have a whole lot of voice acting and Mario would just scream out like one word or two. So it's like versus and battle. Like those are words that Chelsea and I say to each other all the time. Or Star Fox, like good luck. It's just like we're walking, talking soundboards.
I bet it's very interesting in your household.
It really is. Lincoln and I are going around with our fake swords going, ha!
Your pool noodles, yeah.
Yeah!
All right. Rigo at dreaded_Diablo asked, I was listening to the Arlo cast and one person asked a question, so I'm going to ask the same thing. If you could make a restaurant based on Nintendo's IP, which one would you choose?
It's so easy.
Obviously, I'm going to have an Animal Crossing restaurant
that's the
with
wrong
Brewster's
answer.
Cafe inside.
Oh, that's actually a good answer. Okay, I take it back. That's a good answer. I like it a lot. Mm-hmm. Mine is I think is the most obvious is Kirby. It's going to be based on Kirby.
Answer.
No, it's it's a buffet. It's all you can eat at a Kirby restaurant. And they got everything. What do you think about that? Kirby restaurant. Come on.
Well, we could just do a Super Smash restaurant.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Everybody there.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
That's my go-to whenever anyone asks a question like this.
Just Smash.
Smash.
It's the default answer. I mean, yeah, you could have
there.
You could have a Mario pizzeria or something like that, but I don't know if that's maybe too on the nose. But yeah, I think this is pretty good.
Kirby.
I'm going with Kirby mostly to upset people. Right. Also channeling the spirit of Bobby.
Bobby is he's mad just, right now. You're saying.
Actually,
first
as
off,
we speak,
you said that mine was awful, and then you came in with Kirby.
Well, I also came around very quickly to that's actually a really good answer within the Animal Crossing universe.
Yeah.
My birthday's coming up, by the way, and Nintendo sent me a countdown, and they gave me a little Nintendo prize as they tend to do, and it's Animal Crossing themed. It's like little cupcake toppers that they sent me to print out. Yeah, they know me so well.
Interesting that they're focusing their Animal Crossing attention to birthday cupcake toppers instead of the actual game.
The game,
but we're not going to talk about that anymore. Todd Oxtra at Toxtra asked, how is the Joy-Con drift issue still not fixed? Even sending them in for repairs isn't resolving the issue. We got Wiimote Pluses, Xbox Controller S, DualShock 3, and the Xbox One S upgrade shortly after those systems launched to add improvements.
People still buy them.
Joy-Cons.
People buy them still, Caito. People they collect them like crazy, and I'm doing my part. I'll tell you that much.
You're not buying any.
I'm with Todd. I'm not buying anymore. Even the Zelda ones that just came out, they're still the same ones, and the ones that are on the OLED model, those are still the same ones. And I think that Todd has a good point here. It's super frustrating. I just don't even. I look at them and go I'm going to break those things, And for the most part, I've just stopped playing with my with Joy-Cons altogether. I had a moment where I wanted to, just because sometimes it's easier with the kids. I was going to try out some of the motion stuff with Skyward Sword, and my day one Joy-Cons, they're actually kind of dead. They don't hold the charge anymore. They're always on my Switch. They're always charging, and when I take them off, it says that there's no battery. So that's another kind of issue. So it's almost like I've overcharged them, kind of when you don't use your phone all the way down to 0, and apparently that kills the battery. I don't know if that's still true or not, but it seems that's what's happened with my Joy-Cons. They don't hold a charge anymore. So tack that on to the list of issues.
Have you seen the viral Joy-Con drift fix?
I heard about this. The
paper.
You shove a business card or something.
Put a piece of paper there and it fixes it.
That's awesome.
I was watching someone on YouTube doing it and it worked. I mean, I don't know how the longevity of it, but if it's something as easy as putting a piece of paper there, why is there not a fix? Obviously they're doing some. Well, are they even doing something to fix it? Or are they just sending people new Joy-Con?
I think it's just, you can send it in if you want, but honestly, that's such a pain in the butt.
What if you have a limited edition? What if my Animal Crossing one starts messing up?
Yeah, this is frustrating. Yeah. I mean, I kind of wish that they did more collector's editions of the Pro Controller. Honestly, they had a couple there, and Bobby was picking up all of them. The Splatoon one is really, really good, and there's a few others out there. I kind of wish I would definitely be spending way more money on Nintendo if they did that. Every time they come out with a new edition of Joy-Con, it's we know these are broken, right? What are we buying these things for? They're not fixed. So that's kind of where I'm at on it.
I don't get it.
Yeah. It's a good point, Todd.
It just shouldn't be that difficult to fix.
Well, and they're expensive. That's the real kick in the nuts. It's
But here's my issue.
Pricey.
Here's my issue too is I am so hooked on my Joy-Con that I can't imagine going to anything else. I hardly ever play. I don't have a Pro Controller. I don't play with anything but Joy-Con.
We're so opposite.
I play split Joy-Con.
Yeah, it's super comfy.
And I just sit there, which I never thought I would until I started getting wrist problems, and then I switched, and I could never go back.
Yeah, I get it. That is it's so comfy. I remember thinking that even in the Wii days, even though there's a tether between the two, a cable. But I remember thinking this is so much better for posture and everything too. Your shoulders don't come forward as you're holding a controller. You just have your hands nice out and wide and very, very comfy. But I just don't. I don't like the feel of Joy-Cons overall, and the fact that they're just so fragile. I don't know. I've gone completely away from it.
Yeah. All right. Well, Todd, we don't have the answer for you, but
the question for the Xbox Drive this week. I'm how should I know, Todd? What do you want me to do about it? I don't know, man.
Was it Todd Oxtra?
Yeah, it was Todd again.
Oh my gosh, Todd, we can't answer your questions. Stop asking these questions that we can't answer.
No, I love the questions, but they're basically what I think it is. And Todd, if I'm wrong, please let me know. But it's he prompts these things to just set us off a little bit, and I don't know if that gives them enjoyment or not. But that's kind of weird if it does. It's let's hear them bitch and complain about this for 10 minutes. It's all right.
Well, you succeeded if that's what it was.
Yeah,
but,
you got us.
I got to wrap it up. Sean, where can everyone find you on the internet?
I had so much fun today. I've got drinks to bring home to my wife, and you guys can find me on the internet on Twitter at Sean Capri. It's Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. And you definitely want to be looking over there on Twitter because I'm going to be, as if all goes well, I'm going to be a guest on one of my favorite Nintendo podcasts called The House of Mario. It's hosted by my good friend Drew Agnew, and I'm going to be joining them. It's an Australian-based Nintendo podcast. It's honestly... It's better than this show. It's the best. It's the best Nintendo podcast on the internet. It's so good. That and Nintendo Shack. I love both those shows. So I'm plugging everybody else, but I'm going to be a guest on the House of Mario podcast. So check for that.
Oh, that's so exciting! All right. Well, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Console Caito. Also, don't forget to subscribe youtube.com/Yumi and Capri.
Good one.
If you want to listen over there on YouTube. That is all for episode 13 of the Nintendo Drive. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, make sure you go and download Pokemon Unite so we can all play our first MOBA together.